This video explains who is behind the acts of sacrilege committed at the Sikhs' holiest shrine, the Golden Temple, other Sikh Gurdwaras, and the bomb blast at the Courthouse in Ludhiana City in Punjab state in India. Hello friends, this is Unmasked Truth with Harmanjit Saini, where I provide unique analysis of world events based on the unmasked truth that after surrender, Germany continued World War II clandestinely and became a killing machine. I also provide true news that you will find nowhere else. The act of sacrilege was committed at the Golden Temple in Amritsar, Punjab state, India, the holiest Sikh shrine, by a non-Sikh man on Saturday, December 18, 2021, around 5:45 p.m. local time, during the last portion of evening recitation from the Guru Granth Sahib, the holy book of Sikhism. The yet unidentified man jumped the metal railing around the sanctum sanctorum where the Guru Granth Sahib is kept, grabbed a sword, which is one of the five Sikh religious symbols, stepped on the linen cloths on which the Guru Granth Sahib is placed, but was apprehended by alert SGPC or Shromani Gurdwara Prabandhak Committee, meaning Gurdwara Management Committee employees, before he could do any damage that must have been on his mind. After the man was apprehended, he was taken to the SGPC office where the angry congregation beat him badly. He died of his wounds. In another incident the next day early morning, a man allegedly tried to commit sacrilege by trying to remove the Sikh flag in a Gurdwara in Nizampur village in Kapurthala district of Punjab. The man was caught and beaten to death. Later, the police stated that there was no evidence so far that any sacrilege took place and that it may have been an attempt to steal food. A few days earlier, another incident had taken place at the Golden Temple where a certain man named Ranbir Singh threw away a gutka, which is a small book of selected scriptures, for example, the equivalent of a booklet of only the four Gospels as contrasted with the entire Bible. He threw it away into the Sarovar, which is the lake surrounding the Golden Temple. He was apprehended, handed over to the police, and jailed. According to OutlookIndia.com, for the past couple of years, Punjab has consistently topped the chart of the highest number of sacrilege cases. The National Crime Bureau data between 2018 and 2020 shows that the number of crimes reported in Punjab under sections 295 to 297 that deal with sacrilege cases have been the highest. Besides these incidents of sacrilege committed against the Sikh faith, there was a bomb blast in a courthouse in the city of Ludhiana in Punjab state on Thursday, December 23, 2021, in which one person was killed and six injured. According to police authorities investigating the case, they suspect the person killed, Gagandeep Singh, is the bomber who was in the process of assembling the bomb in a public bathroom when it detonated. Gagandeep Singh had been dismissed from police service after his arrest in a drug case in August 2019. He was out on bail after serving 2 years in jail. The day following the blast, he was scheduled to appear before the court in the drug case. Chief Minister of Punjab, Mr. Charanjit Singh Channi, blamed anti-national forces for the blast, stating that the investigation will look into links with the sacrilege incident at the Golden Temple and a FIR, which is a first information report, registered against Shromani Akali Dal, which is a political party, leader Bikram Singh Majithia on Monday, December 2021. According to timesofIndia.indiatimes.com, Majithia has been booked under sections 25, 27A and 29 of the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act of 1985 for knowingly permitting the use of his property for drug smuggling, financing illicit trafficking of drugs, harboring offenders, and for abetment and criminal conspiracy in drug smuggling. Other reports in the media state that a Jaswinder Singh Multani, a prominent member of the designated terror group in India, Sikhs for Justice, was arrested in Germany for links to the Ludhiana court blast incident. Intelligence agencies also alerted the Punjab authorities about the involvement of Harvinder Singh Sandhu in the blast, a Babbar Khalsa terrorist currently residing in Pakistan. The website also states Pakistan linked drug peddlers Ranjit Singh Cheetah and Sukhwinder Singh boxer Baba, who were Gagandeep's mates in the Ludhiana Central Jail, were being interrogated in the blast case. A Ludhiana police official confirmed that Ranjit is a big fish of the narco terror network of Pakistan's spy agency, the ISI, or Inter Services Intelligence. Now, former national level boxer Sukhwinder Singh has links with the terror organization Hizbul Mujahideen, a Kashmir based terror organization. Police are questioning more cop friends of Gagandeep. It appears that Gagandeep was radicalized by Ranjit Singh while in jail. Now, some Punjab leaders have linked these incidents to the upcoming elections in February March of 2022 in the North Indian states of Punjab, Uttar Pradesh, Uttarakhand, in addition to the small northeastern state of Manipur and the west central state of Goa. Congress party chief in Punjab, former Test cricketer Navjot Singh Sidhu, said after visiting the victims of the blast, "If everything remains fine for about 4 years, why do a series of events happen only 1 to 2 months prior to assembly elections? That's what happened in West Bengal. I condemn this cheap politics. It's unfortunate that fear is being spread in the name of a political agenda. That's the culmination of negative politics. Innocent people get killed for votes polarization." Now, based on information from my sources, let me help in making sense of the Sacrilege incidents and the bomb blast. The two incidents are not completely linked, but the Modi government is fully responsible for both incidents. First, the Sacrilege incidents. A 3 day conference from December 17 to 19, 2021 was organized by the Hindu extremist Yati Narsinganand in the Indian city of Hardwar, Uttar Pradesh state, where multiple Hindu monks urged Hindus to buy weapons with blatant calls for violence against Muslims and killing millions of them being made. In an article by Samir Yasser, the New York Times reported on the conference. The 3 day conference in the city of Hardwar, 150 miles north of New Delhi, produced the most blatant and alarming call for violence in recent years. The crowded auditorium, where right wing Hindu monks called for other Hindus to arm themselves and kill Muslims, included influential religious leaders with close ties to Prime Minister Narendra Modi's governing party, the Bharatiya Janata Party or the BJP, and even some members of the party. Videos of the event have spread widely on social media in India this week. Yet Mr. Modi has maintained a characteristic silence that analysts say can be interpreted by his most extreme supporters as a tacit signal of protection. Even opposition political groups have been restrained in their response, an indication of the degree to which right wing Hindu nationalism has gripped the country since Mr. Modi came to office in 2014. During that week, Modi himself was busy campaigning in the neighboring Uttar Pradesh state with the Chief Minister Ajay Mohan Bisht, who calls himself by the Hindu monk name of Yogi Adityanath and dons the monk garb. The article continues. During the conference, Swami Prabodhanand Giri, head of a right wing Hindu organization in Uttarakhand, said the country now belongs to Hindus. This is why, like in Myanmar, the police here, the politicians here, the army, and every Hindu must pick up weapons, and we will have to conduct this cleanliness drive, he said while referring to Muslims. There is no solutions apart from this. He was referring to the Rohingya Muslims in Myanmar. Suresh Shavanke, head of a news channel, administered an oath to turn India into a Hindu first country. His oath said, "We make a resolution until our last breath. We will make India a Hindu nation and keep it a Hindu only nation," he said. "We will fight and die if required. we will kill as well. He then tweeted a video of the oath to his 500,000 followers. While most of the conference was directed against Muslims, speeches were made where they revealed that threats were made to Muslims and Christians to not celebrate their festivals in Hardwar. Hindus have been trying for many years to preach that Sikhs are the same as Hindus. Their goal is to convert all of them to Hinduism, but they know that Sikhs will have none of that. So a comment was also made about the former Sikh Prime Minister of India, Dr. Manmohan Singh. Dharmdas Maharaj from Bihar said at the conference, "If I was present in the parliament when Prime Minister Manmohan Singh said that minorities have first right over national resources, I would have followed Nathuram Godse, who had assassinated Gandhi. I would have shot him 6 times in the chest with a revolver." That's basically saying that he would have shot Prime Minister Manmohan Singh. This conference explains the sacrilege incidents. It was an attempt by Hindutva goons with the full backing and approval of Narendra Modi himself and his ruling party to intimidate the Sikhs. Plans are afoot for major violence and forcible conversions of Muslims, Christians, and Sikhs to Hinduism. Muslims and Christians have already been subjected to violence and acts of sacrilege committed against their place of worship in the last few months with virtually no retaliation. When acts of sacrilege were committed against Sikh places of worship, 2 of the perpetrators lost their lives. Legal ramifications of these acts are that the acts have been committed to provoke civil war. Hence, the perpetrators should be treated as enemy combatants and no action should be taken against those who stop the sacrilegious acts, resulting in the perpetrators losing their lives. Now, about the bomb blast in Ludhiana City. Gagandeep Singh was 30 years old and was depressed because he felt that he is unlikely to ever get a job again after being dismissed from the police force for drug related offenses. Therefore, he had become a drug and liquor smuggler. The tragedy of this event is that it is not linked to the upcoming elections but to the drug related FIR, that's the first information report, against Bikram Singh Majithia, who was a former cabinet minister in the Punjab government, as Chief Minister Mr. Chani has alleged. The Majithia and Badal, which means former Chief Minister Prakash Singh Badal, his son, former Deputy Minister and Member of Parliament Sukhbir Singh Badal, his wife, Member of Parliament and former Cabinet level Agriculture Minister in Modi's cabinet, Harsimrat Kaur Badal, who is the sister of Bikram Singh Majithia. So the Majithia and Badal families are 2 of the top Sikh political families of Punjab. It is shocking that B.S. Majithia could not find a better way to earn money than getting involved in drug smuggling. Further tragedy for Punjab and the Sikhs is that both are criminal families under the thumb of the Germans and their Indian alliance partners Modi, Ambani, Adani, and the Marwadi Rajputs of Rajasthan. The reason is that they have murdered a white American of Britain to gain the financial rewards offered by the Germans. The goal of the Germans and Indians allied with them is to destroy the Sikhs and Punjabis. That task is made easier when they can blackmail top Sikh leaders to use them to destroy their own people through drugs peddled by the leading families, while some innocent people who oppose their political views and criticize them are murdered. Sikhs were lucky that the bomb blast did not kill anyone but the perpetrator himself. If he had successfully assembled and detonated the bomb, casualties could have been much, much heavier. It is also most likely that some of the narco terrorists, while claiming to be Sikhs, are infiltrators and are not Punjabi Sikhs at all. Though at some small level, some Punjabi Sikhs may have been roped in during the narco trade. It is also known that most of those involved in the Khalistan movement, which is a movement of Sikhs fighting for a separate Sikh state, are also infiltrators and they are not genuine Punjabi Sikhs. This means that our Indian enemies have infiltrated the Sikh ranks, and the infiltrators can be used to commit acts of terrorism against us and fight us in the event of a war. The evidence that some of the Sikhs are our enemies because they are not of Punjabi origin was provided by the Sikhs killed along with General Bipin Rawat in the helicopter crash a few weeks ago on December 8th. They were non Punjabi Sikhs, but it seems that the police in Punjab have a handle on the situation and have already identified most of these infiltrators who can be disposed of first in the event of a conflict with Modi's India. The Germans have achieved their goal of placing murderers in positions of power in the central and most state governments in India, who are subject to blackmail and will remain subservient to the Germans for fear of being exposed. Therefore, the Badal and Majeethia families in power can be ordered by them to take actions that destroy Punjab and the Sikhs. If Punjab and the Sikhs want to be free of these destructive forces, then we must get rid of these politicians. The further tragedy is that Navjot Singh Sidhu, former cricketer and president of Punjab Pradesh Congress Committee, is also fully compromised like the Badals and B.S. Majeethia. He too has achieved a success with the help of Germans by murdering a white American or Briton adult and a child. So he too is under the thumb of the Germans, and Indians like Modi allied with them. They can blackmail him and force him to take actions that can harm Punjabis and Sikhs. So, this is what I would like all Sikhs and Punjabis to understand. Sikhs who have murdered a white American or Briton were first fed the German propaganda that it is okay to kill them, that is the white American or Briton, in revenge because they ruled over them as colonists. But the fact is that God prophesied that the British and Americans would be a colonizing people so that his laws could be introduced and the way of life to the world. The British accomplished that on behalf of God. We also know that Sikh leaders practiced sati and buried girl babies alive. The British stopped these heinous crimes against women and God. It was God's purpose because He had foreseen these heinous acts and prophesied that the British and Americans would colonize part of the earth to stop such abominable practices. Therefore, those Sikhs and Punjabis who murdered a white American of Britain did it to receive the financial rewards offered by the Germans, and not because they were seeking vengeance against people of British descent for colonizing them. Also remember, most Punjabis are Jews, the Jats and the Sainis, and descendants of the Israelites, meaning this they are the same people as the Americans, Britons, the French, Irish, Swiss, Scandinavians, and people of Benelux countries. So we are the same people ethnically, but racially mixed with the local Punjabis, mainly Brahmins and Kshatriyas, because our ancestors married locally and settled down in Punjab, whereas others migrated to Europe. Therefore, do not buy into the German propaganda that we have to seek vengeance against people of British and American descent. Finally, don't forget the German goal. The Germans are a treacherous people. Their goal is to destroy all people who oppose them in their quest for dominating the world. They seek to destroy America, British Commonwealth nations, and the Jews. Because the Sikhs and Punjabis fought them in both world wars, they seek to destroy us as well. They are using our own leaders and Indians allied with them to accomplish that. They are doing their best to destroy us and enslave the survivors and work them to death and take over our lands. Do not forget this reality. We simply do not have the weapons or the forces to win a war against them. Our only protection lies in America and British Commonwealth nations. Therefore, don't buy the German propaganda that the British and Americans of British descent are our enemies. They are the only friends we have who can protect us from being destroyed by the Germans. What then is the best course of action for Punjabis and Sikhs going forward? We cannot allow people like the Badals, Majeethias, and Navjot Singh Sidhu to gain power because they are under the thumb of the Germans and Modi's Indians and will be blackmailed to take actions to harm Sikhs and Punjabis with the ultimate goal of destroying us. Smuggling and promoting drug use by the Majeetias is strong evidence of that. So these people must be eliminated from power by defeat at the polls. Again, I do not take part in politics, but I do voice my opinion concerning removing criminals and murderers from political life. Remember, Modi's goal is to destroy all Sikhs in military uniform. They have already taken steps to disperse Sikh soldiers thinly throughout the military. But the American military allied with us can take care of the situation for us, as it demonstrated by killing General Rawat and 13 others with him by destroying his helicopter to send a strong message to the Indian military. Remember, Badal and Majeethias have full support of India's narco-terror network operated by the Rajputs, Modi and his allies. They have infiltrated Punjabis and Sikhs. They demonstrated that by carrying out the Ludhiana bomb blasts. The Badals and the Majeethias have been forced to become part of that narco network and to allow it to operate freely in Punjab so that Punjabis and Sikhs can be destroyed as the German masqueraders, which is people of German descent in America, and their allies helped the drug trade to flourish in America to destroy Americans from within. If Navjot Singh Sidhu ever becomes the Chief Minister of Punjab, he will also be forced to allow the narco-terror network to operate freely. It is a tragedy of massive proportions that some of our best and most illustrious families have been corrupted by taking bribes from our deadliest enemy, the Germans, opened themselves to blackmail thereby, and committed horrendous crimes against our own people, Sikhs and Punjabis, murdering thousands and ruining the lives of hundreds of thousands more with drugs and destroying economic opportunities for the general population. But Punjabis and Sikhs take heart. American and British Commonwealth military allied with us are capable of meeting the challenge. The murderers among us, like the Badals, Majeethias, Navjot Singh Sidhu, and others, will be brought to justice by paying with their lives for their crimes. If they commit any further terrorist acts, they will be swiftly dealt with. Sikhs in the military will be protected from being utterly destroyed because Modi and his cronies know that their politicians, military and business leaders will lose their lives as General Rawat lost his life. That should act as a deterrent. Modi is playing the religion card to win elections in Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand states, but his goals are bigger than that. He and his likely successor, probably Ajay Mohan Bisht, Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, want to provoke a civil war to massacre minorities, meaning Muslims, Christians, and Sikhs, and forcibly convert them back to Hinduism. But he is acting in concert with Germany and China, whose ultimate goal is to take over North Indian states not allied with the Germans, commit genocide on their population, and enslave the rest. Let's be wise to his and their diabolical schemes and work with the Americans and the British allied with us to counter this threat. When all this is over, remember we need to become self reliant. We have a huge task ahead of us to become strong economically and militarily with the ability to manufacture our own weapons, including nuclear weapons and ICBMs. If we do not become self reliant, the Germans will succeed in destroying us. We will never be able to do that, become self reliant, when people like the Badals, Majeethias, Navjot Singh Sidhu, and the like are our leaders. Keep the goal of becoming one of the leading nations of the world in mind always, and begin working on it individually right now. That's the only way we can have a chance of surviving the genocidal attempts of the Germans, Chinese, and Modi's India against us. Thank you very much for watching this video. Please continue to watch my videos, read my articles on important world events, World War III watch, politics, international business, advice on health and medical problems, and much more for in-depth and insightful analysis. Please also subscribe to my YouTube and Facebook channels. Unmasked Truth with Harmanjit Saini to view and get information on the latest videos. Some people do not have the time to go through the full length of videos. They find it more convenient to read the text of the video. Unfortunately, YouTube does not provide the capability to make the text of my videos available on YouTube. But fortunately, Facebook does provide that capability. So I make the text of my videos available on my Facebook channel, which you can then easily copy.